Well, we'll continue with the next concept of body fluids and circulatory system, which is necessary for our need aspirants. Okay. So we'll go with next topic that is called as regulation of heart beat. So, what are the various components of the body which regulate the heartbeat is the concept what we are going to discuss. It is seen that regulation of heartbeat is controlled by both neural system, as well as it is controlled by hormonal system. So these are the two important systems that work in our body to regulate the heartbeat or regulate the cardiac cycle, what we call it as. When it comes to the neural system, the neurons present are located in the neural system located in the medulla oblongata. Neural system or neural system located in the medulla oblongata usually controls or regulates the heartbeat. It is done by autonomous nervous system. It is done by autonomous nervous system. It is done by autonomous nervous system. So, autonomous nervous system have two branches called as sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system usually act on the cardiac muscles to increase the heartbeat. So sympathetic nervous system is usually involved in increasing the heartbeat. Whereas parasympathetic nervous system, which is under control of vagus nerves, which are 10th pair of nerves, control decreasing the heartbeat. So, neural system that is located on the medulla oblongata, which is usually an autonomous nervous system, which have two branches. One act as increasing the heartbeat, that is sympathetic nervous system, whereas parasympathetic nervous system involving vagus nerves, that is called 10th pairs of the cranial nerves. This is the cranial nerves. Regulate decreasing the heartbeat. So along with this, we have hormonal control, which includes epinephrine and norepinephrine. Usually increases the heartbeat. So, along with this hormone, thyroxine also increases the heartbeat. When it comes to the acetylcholine, is one more chemical which usually decreases the rate of heartbeat. So once again, we can go with the regulation of the heartbeat. Regulation of heartbeat is under control of both neural system as well as hormonal system. When it comes to the neural system located on the medulla oblongata, usually involving the ANS, that is autonomous nervous system, which have two branches, that is sympathetic nervous system helps in increasing the rate of heartbeat, whereas the parasympathetic nervous system involving vagus nerve, that is 10th pair of the cranial nerves, helps in decreasing the heartbeat. So along with that, the hormones that usually control the regulation of heartbeat includes epinephrine, norepinephrine and thyroxine are the hormones which usually increase the rate of heartbeat, whereas the acetylcholine, a chemical that is produced by the terminal terminal part of the neurons, when it is released, it decreases the rate of heartbeat. So this is how the regulation of heartbeat takes place. It is seen that the heartbeat during its increase or decrease, the heart usually get affected, either excessive heartbeat or less heartbeat, rate of heartbeat takes place. This leads to the effect of the heart. So whenever there is a higher rate of heartbeat, the condition is usually called as tachycardia. So whereas lower rate of heartbeat in a heart, the condition is usually called as brachycardia. So these are important to remember for the NEET aspirants. So there are chances of the heart to beat at the higher rate. The condition is called as tachycardia. High temperature, high blood pressure, some of the other reasons, a higher exercise, weak condition of the heart, loss of excessive blood, this all leads to higher rate of heartbeat. So there is a brachycardia is a condition which is due to low blood pressure, low concentration of ions in the blood, low beating of the heart. So these are the various weak hearts particularly are the conditions for low rate of heartbeats. So we'll go with now cardiac cycle. So what is a cardiac cycle? It is a complete flow of blood in one cycle, that is from lungs to heart, heart to tissues, and again from tissues to heart and heart to lungs. So this complete cycle is usually one cycle is usually called as cardiac cycle. So it is a one complete cycle of complete flow of blood in one cycle, that is from a particular organ of the body, again moving all throughout the body and coming to the same place, is usually called as cardiac cycle. So that is, it includes one pulmonary cycle plus one systematic cycle. So one systematic cycle and one pulmonary cycle, completely called as cardiac cycle. Or it is also called as beginning of one cycle and it is a cycle, it's the beginning of one cycle and starting of another cycle. It is the beginning of one cycle and starting another cycle. So the period between one cycle to another cycle is usually called as cardiac cycle. Okay. Next one is heartbeat. So what is a heartbeat? Heartbeat is nothing but it is called as cardiac cycle. And it is known that the heart beats for 72 times per minute. It is a fact. The heart beats for 72 times per minute. So, in one beat, in one heart beat, we have discussed that 70 ml of blood usually flows. 70 ml of blood usually flows, and which is usually called as stroke volume. Okay, so these are the facts. The heartbeat is also called as cardiac cycle, which is beginning of one cycle and starting of going with the another cycle. So the gap between one cycle and another cycle is usually called as cardiac cycle, which is consists of one pulmonary cycle and one systematic cycle. Okay, so the heart beats for 72 times per minute, and in one heartbeat around 70 ml. That means from when the ventricles contract, around 70 ml of blood is usually sent to various parts of the body, and which is usually called as stroke volume. So during 1 minute, the volume of blood that flows in the body tissues is called as cardiac output. So the cardiac output is equivalent to stroke volume into number of heartbeats per minute, which is also called as rate of heartbeat. So that is, cardiac output is equivalent to 70 ml into 72 times per minute, which is equivalent to 5 liters approximately. So this is important. Based on this you may get a question. So when you go with the cardiac events in a cardiac cycle, we have arterial systole, arterial diastole, ventricular systole, and ventricular diastole, and cardiac diastole. Okay, fine. Cardiac diastole, we can go with that. So when we go with the cardiac events, it is seen that if the heart beats 72 times per minute, one cycle, one cardiac cycle completes in 60 by 72 times per minute, which is equivalent to 0.8 seconds. So one heartbeat or one cardiac cycle takes place within 0.8 seconds. In this, the arterial systole is of 0.1 second, whereas arterial diastole takes place for 0.8 seconds, and ventricular systole takes place for 0.3 seconds, whereas ventricular diastole takes place for 0.5 seconds. That means, commonly we call it as arterial systole is for 1 second, 0.1 second, ventricular systole is of 0.3 seconds, and diastole is for 0.4 seconds, so which is equivalent to 0.8 seconds. But When we go with the cardiac events, that is atrial systole takes place for 0.1 second, what we have discussed. But once the atrial systole completes, the diastole takes place of the atria before the ventricular systole starts, that is called, which takes place around 0.7 seconds. Whereas ventricular systole takes place for 0.3 seconds, but during its relaxation, that is called as a ventricular diastole, takes place for 0.5 seconds. And if you go with 0.3 and 0.4, the atrium and the ventricular systole takes place for around 0.4 seconds. So diastole also takes place for 0.4 seconds. You can check it here, 0.4 seconds. If you get a question based on this, like a round, one, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. If you go with the arterial components, so it means the arterial systole takes place for, this is arterial systole, and this hole is necessary for arterial diastole. If you go with the same way in another diagram, if this is the whole cycle of cardiac cycle, which is divided into zero point 0.1, 0.1 second, 0.1 second, 0.1 second, 0.1 second, 0.1 second. If the diastole takes place, ventricular systole takes place for 3 seconds, ventricular systole, then it takes around 5, it is for ventricular diastole. Okay? So based on this also, you may get questions in your NEET. As I mentioned you in the last class that whenever ventricular systole takes place, it helps in closing the bicuspid and tricuspid valves, which give rise to the first sound that is called as L. Okay, which is having a larger time period with low intensity. But when ventricular diastole takes place, the second sound arises due to the closure of semilunar valves, which gives the second sound that is called as dub. So remember it. Clear? So I am erasing it. So this L and dub sounds, can be traced by stethoscope. So what doctors hear by placing the two plugs in their ears and a button like structure which is placed on the heart. Clear? So then we'll go with blood pressure. So blood pressure, what is blood pressure? The pressure of blood, the pressure of blood exerted on the arteries, we call it as a blood vessels. The pressure of blood exerted on the arteries, okay, walls of the arteries, on the walls of arteries is called as blood pressure. So how this blood pressure is measured? With the help of an instrument called as sphygmomanometer. So this is the instrument that is used to find out the blood pressure of a particular person. It is seen that the systolic pressure on the arteries is 120 mm mercury. Okay, whereas the diastolic pressure on the arteries, on the walls of arteries, is 80 mm at mercury. Collectively, blood pressure is equivalent to systolic pressure of blood by diastolic pressure, which is equivalent to 120 by 80 mm at mercury. So this blood pressure along with age, okay, along with advancement age, along with advancement of age, blood pressure usually increases. At the same time, the systolic pressure and diastolic pressure alters, which creates various kinds of heart diseases like high blood pressure, is a condition when the systolic pressure is above 140 mm at mercury, whereas diastolic pressure is again above 90 mm at mercury. So if this persists for a longer period of time, the disease condition is usually called as high blood pressure. Similarly, in some group of people has low blood pressure, this condition arises when the blood pressure is less than 120 mm at mercury, and if it is, the diastolic pressure is around 70 mm at mercury. So this condition leads to low blood pressure. Clear? So some disorders So we have discussed about high blood pressure and low blood pressure that arises due to the blood pressure that is acting on the artery walls of the arteries when it exceeds 120 by 80 or decreases 120 by 80. Whereas some other disorders of the heart like murmurs, one of the heart disorders is called as murmurs. So murmurs is an abnormality that is seen in the heart due to dysfunctioning of heart valves. So we have discussed that the heart usually produces two types of sounds. One is lub when the ventricular systole starts, and dub when the semilunar valves usually closes after ventricular systole. But if this heart valves doesn't function due to any kind of disorder, either due to lignifying or becoming rigid, they usually don't work in a correct way, and this lub and dub sounds will not work in a correct way. Lub and dub sounds will be produced by correct closing or normal closing of the valves. In such cases, murmurs arises, which is dysfunctioning of heart valves. So along with that, we have discussed about high blood pressure, high BP, and low blood pressure, which occurs due to abnormal blood pressure on the walls. Other than that, we have varicose veins. What is varicose veins? So varicose veins is a disease condition that arises in the people who stand for longer periods of time. In this group of people, this varicose veins usually occurs due to dysfunctioning in venal veins. So here, due to dysfunctioning of the venal veins, they become dilated, tortured, and thickened, and correct flow of blood doesn't take place, and blood gets stored, and it creates low blood pressure takes place. Blood gets stored, okay, creating or causing swelling of the veins in the superficial regions. Either it is on legs, in the scrotum, etc. So the only remedy is to make a surgery and remove this particular varicose veins. Other than that, we have atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis. So what is atherosclerosis? It is deposition of lipids, particularly cholesterol, in the blood vessels. Okay, deposition of lipids or cholesterol in the blood vessels, which make blood vessel narrower, increasing blood pressure are some of the symptoms of atherosclerosis. So there is one more disease condition that is called as atherosclerosis. So it is atherosclerosis, deposition of lipids or cholesterol, which makes the blood vessel narrower. A lumen get decreased and it increases the blood pressure. Here it is called as arteries. Okay, and where sclerosis takes place due to deposition of calcium or other salts. And similarly here also it makes the blood vessels narrower. It creates plaques. No plaque is formed. Here no plaques are formed. Whereas plaques are formed in this particular case. So which leads to hardening of the arteries. Okay. So one more important thing is heart failure. So what is heart failure? What is the function of the heart? Heart is a pumping organ. Blood pumping organ, what we call it as. If this pumping heart doesn't send the blood to various parts of the body in a systematic way, it leads to a condition that is called as heart failure. So this heart failure may occur due to variety of reasons. Maybe due to infections. It may occur due to death, that is called as a necrosis of cells. Okay. It may occur due to absence of certain salts, which usually helps in working of the blood. Etc. So, but when you go with the heart attack, so heart attack is a condition that is related to the heart where necrosis or death of the cells takes place. Death of the cardiac cells takes place, and in such a condition the heart stops working and the person may die. Then we'll go with the next topic what we have to discuss, that is called as blood vessels. So along with this we have one more condition that is called as myocardial refraction. So what is myocardial refraction? So myo means muscle part, cardial refraction. So whenever there is an abnormality of muscular functioning, it leads to abnormal functioning of the cardiac cycle. So that condition is usually called as myocardial refraction. So we'll go with next important component of blood, that is called as circulatory system, that is called as blood vessels. So blood vessels are of three types: arteries, veins, and capillaries. So these are the three types of blood vessels which constitute the supporting system, which usually helps in carrying the blood flow through these vessels. So arteries, veins and capillaries. When we go with these three, arteries always carry oxygenated blood. Away from heart. Exception is except the pulmonary artery, which carry deoxygenated blood. To lungs. Here two tissues. Okay. When it comes to the veins, usually always carry deoxygenated blood from body parts to heart. So exception here is pulmonary vein, which carry oxygenated blood to body parts, oxygenated blood to heart. Whereas capillaries are the smallest blood vessels which are connecting the arteries to veins at the tissues. Okay, that means these capillaries are the blood vessels which usually start with arteries. Artery starts with, okay fine, you can say that artery starts arteries end with capillaries, whereas veins start with capillaries. So that means capillaries are the smallest blood vessels which usually transport or helps in diffusion of gases or diffusion of the food materials into the tissues, and again taking the waste materials like carbon dioxide, waste materials from the tissues and throwing it into the heart, and from heart it is thrown into various parts of the body to eliminate from the body. So what these arteries and veins are made up of? Okay, construction. Construction of arteries, construction of veins, and construction of capillaries. So when we go with this construction of the arteries, this is made up of 3 layers. Outer one is called as tunica externa, or also called as tunica adventita, tunica intermedia, and tunica interna. It is also called as intima. So these are the 3 layers with which the construction of the arteries takes place. So when we go with the tunica externa, it is a connective tissue layer, connective fibrous tissue layer. Whereas tunica intermedia is the thickest among the arteries, veins, arteries and veins. Capillary doesn't have this one. So because it is along with having muscular layer, this layer outer as well as inner is provided with elastic lamina. It is covered externally and internally with elastic lamina between the muscular layer. Whereas tunica interna is made up of endothelium. So it is a epithelial tissue which is usually present below to this elastic lamina next to the tunica intermedia. So when we go with the construction of this veins, it is also having 3 layers, that is tunica externa, which is made up of connective tissue fibers, tunica interna, intermedia or inter, okay, which is made up of muscular layer, thin, and there is only one elastic layer, elastic lamina. So this gives thinner appearance to this tunica intermedia. So when you go with the arteries, there are no valves. More important, there are no valves here. Whereas here we have again tunica interna, and here it consists of valves. Okay. So when we go with construction of capillaries, it has only one layer, that is tunica interna. So which is made up of endothelium and which helps in easy diffusion of materials. So this is the difference between the construction of arteries, veins as well as capillaries. When we go with the construction of arteries, we have seen that always carry oxygenated blood away from the heart to the tissues, except the pulmonary artery which carry deoxygenated blood to the lungs. So always arteries ends with the capillaries. When it comes to the veins, they carry deoxygenated blood from body parts to the heart, excluding pulmonary vein which is carrying oxygenated blood to the heart. So vein starts with the capillaries. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels which are connecting the arteries with the veins at the tissue level. When we go with the construction of the arteries, construction of arteries includes three different layers: tunica externa, which is also called as tunica adventata, which is formed of connective fibrous tissue layer. When it comes to the tunica intermedia, also called as intima, it is the thickest layer among all the three layers, and it is made up of muscular layer, and this muscular layer is outside as well as inner, is covered by an elastic lamella which gives the thickest portion or layer to the tunica intermedia. When it comes to the third layer, that is called as tunica interna, it is made up of a single lining of endothelium and it doesn't have any kind of valves. So when we go with the construction of the veins are again made up of three layers, that is tunica externa, made up of connective fibrous tissue, tunica intermedia, made up of muscular layer which is actually thin and it has only one elastic lamina, and when the third layer is called as tunica interna, and it has valves to prevent the backflow of blood in the veins. So when it comes to the construction of capillary, it is made up of only one layer, that is called as tunica interna, which is made up of endothelium, and this construction makes easy diffusion of materials in and out of the tissues into the blood vessels. Clear? So we'll go with discussing one more important topic. That is called as ECG, or also called as electrocardiograph. So what is electrocardiograph? Still now we have discussed about cardiac events that takes place in the heart in a systematic way, which includes arterial systole, arterial diastole, the ventricular systole and ventricular diastole. But any alteration in this cardiac events usually creates a heart failure. To work out with such heart failure where the actual defect is there, usually electrocardiograph is usually done, which is invented by a scientist that is called as Einthoven, and that's the reason why it is also called as Einthoven electrocardiograph, and the process of deflecting the changes that is taking place in the heart is given in the form of electrocardiogram. The machine that is used is usually called as electrocardiogram. Electrocardiogram is a machine which is invented by Enthoven to find out the alteration or defects that are taking place in the heart muscles. So such a process is usually represented in the form of a graph. That's the reason why it is called as electrocardiograph or ECG. So how it is usually done? So what does this electrocardiograph is made up of? What it consists of? So electrocardiograph includes 3 waves. One, it is called as P wave. Second one is called as QRS wave, and the third one is called as T wave. When we draw it, if you take, this is the point, if you go with the 1 cardiac cycle, so this total P wave, QRS wave and T wave talks about 1 complete cardiac cycle. So when we go with drawing the cardiac cycle, we can see that it consists of 3 waves. So this point to this point, A to B, is actually a complete cycle. So the first one is called as P wave, Q, R, S wave, and this is usually called as T wave. So what is this P wave? P wave is nothing but atrial systole. Atrial systole. QRS wave is usually called as ventricular systole. Whereas T wave is usually called as diastole. Okay, so P wave is atrial systole, QRS wave is a ventricular systole, and T wave is a diastole, a complete heart cardiac diastole. So this P wave usually occurs when the sinoauricular node usually get auto-excited. So when it get auto-excited, it contracts the muscles that present in the arterial region, causing the atrial systole. When we go with the QRS wave, so this atrial systole carry it to the second nodal tissue that is called as AVN, auriculoventricular node. So when it moves to the auriculoventricular node, this action potential from the auriculoventricular node passes through the auriculoventricular muscle bundles, and this auriculoventricular muscle bundles give rise to bundle of His, and this bundle of His along with the Purkinje fibers helps in contraction of the ventricles. So Q wave starts with taking the action potential, having a small deflection, and it leads to the rise in the R wave, and this R wave talks about passing the action potential throughout the ventricular walls, and R to S wave talks about contraction of the total ventricles. So once the atrial systole takes place and ventricular systole takes place, you can see that the complete relaxation of heart takes place, which is usually called as diastole. So let me tell you some important points here. So this systole is usually called as polarization. So polarization of atria, we call it as. Polarization of atria takes place in the P wave. Sorry, it is depolarization. Depolarization of atria takes place with the activation of SA node. QRS wave, which is called as a ventricular systole, begins with small downward deflection, continues as an upright R and triangular wave ending in the dominant. Okay, so this is caused by contraction of AV node. That is Q wave takes place through the bundle of His and Purkinje fibers, and contraction of total ventricles takes place, and which is usually called as depolarization of ventricles takes place, and diastole is nothing but called as repolarization, that is coming to the resting state. Coming to the resting state. So here, any change in this P wave, QRS wave or T wave can be identified for having myocardial infraction. Infraction is, I said about diffraction, but it is not diffraction, it is infraction. So myocardial infraction is what do you call, alteration of this P wave or QRS wave or T wave to know the working of the heart. That is, arterial systole is taking place in the correct way, or what do you call, ventricular systole is taking place in the correct way or not, or repolarization, that is, diastole is taking place in the correct way or not. So let us find what are the various defects that can be identified from this electrocardiograph.